Think your Microsoft 365 tenant is secure? Think again. These 5 risks are hiding in plain sight, and most IT admins don't even know they exist. Hi, I'm Andrew Fitzgerald from the InfraSOS Office 365 reporting and auditing platform, and I'm going to show you the 5 risks that we see across thousands of Microsoft 365 tenants, how to find them and how to fix them. Let's go. Okay, so risk 1 is legacy authentication is enabled in some Microsoft 365 tenants. Now, the reason why some tenants might have this enabled is they might have some legacy protocols like IMAP, POP3 or SMTP. And these protocols, they don't typically support MFA, which means your tenant is often exploited by attackers who can bypass security. So one way you can eliminate this is by deploying an Azure conditional access policy. And I'll show you how we can do that. Right, so inside your Azure portal, we're going to do a search for conditional access policies. Now, what you can do is, once you're on this screen, you can create new policy from templates, and Microsoft provides all the templates that you're most likely going to use. So here we can go block legacy authentication. If we click on view, this will tell us what it's going to do. So all users, it's going to apply to all users and all apps that are using legacy authentication clients such as Exchange, Active Syncs and other clients. It's going to block access. So what we can do is click on create connect, and there's a couple of options that you can do. You can apply it to report only. So what that would do is it won't block everything, it's only going to report on it. So it's only going to show you the affected users, which you can then review the users to see if this is going to be an issue. Or you can do on, and this enforces it straight away. And a third option you could do is a gradual deployment. You could deploy it by groups of users to see how this is going to be affected in a production environment. So I'm just going to deploy it to all users, and simply going to hit create, and that's it. That is now running live. And let's say, for example, if that will refresh, you only wanted to target groups of users. So you can open it, click on users, and then you can select users and groups. So you could select a group, for example, like HR or sales, for example, just so you could do a gradual deployment. Okay, so that's that one done. Risk number 2. Inactive users still have access to your Microsoft 365 tenant. Now, how does this normally happen? Well, employees leaving, or you've got unused accounts that have been set up and forgotten about, and they still have sign-in rights, and potentially some of these accounts could have admin access without any MFA enabled. Why does this matter? Well, these accounts can be easily compromised if left in the wrong hands. Now let me show you how you can find these inactive user accounts. So I'm going to be using the InfraSOS Office 365 reporting and auditing tool. So if you're new to the tool, what it is, we are a SaaS platform that provides reporting and auditing for on-premise Active Directory and also Azure and Office 365. It's a security gap tool and reporting and compliance, and it comes with hundreds of pre-built reports. So it's free to join. Once you've logged in, if we click on Office 365 and then user reports, you'll be able to run a report and it will show you your inactive users. So if we filter it, I'm going to filter by, let's say, 1 year, and we're going to add a filter for anyone who hasn't logged in before March of this year, shall we say, or let's say before Feb, and it should show me a list of those users. So here we see last sign-in was 2022, 2023, 2024. So this video was recorded in May 2025, and you can see all these accounts are still enabled, and some of them are even licensed. So this is also a good way to free up some of your licensing if you're paying. So what we can do here is you can export it into a CSV and then go through the list and see which users you need to be disabling and or passing it on to the relevant teams. And a third option you can do is you can schedule these reports. So if you wanted to run a weekly schedule, you could run a weekly schedule to check this report, so you can keep an eye on these inactive users and be constantly up to date with your Office 365 users. Okay. Right, risk number 3, MFA not enforced for all users. Now, there may be some instances where you have a tenant where MFA is enabled, but it's not being enforced. So you might have some rogue admins that don't have it enabled. So the best way to do it is to use an Azure conditional access policy, and we're going to enforce it that way. And I'm going to show you another way of how we can monitor this by having a look at some reports to see who doesn't have it enabled. Okay. So in the conditional access policy portal, we're going to deploy from a template again. And you're going to select require multi-factor authentication for all users. So this is going to apply to all users except the account that I'm logged in. Now the reason why it does this is because you need at least one account that doesn't have MFA enforced in the event that you need to get into Azure if MFA is not working. So this is like a break-fix account that you can have the password secure, hidden away somewhere else that only one user has access to. Also, other roles it's going to exclude, like directory synchronization accounts. So this tenant has is doing Azure AD Connect sync. It's syncing my on-prem Active Directory to Azure. So those types of accounts you don't want to be enforcing MFA, and it's going to apply it to all apps. So select, and then you just hit review and create. We're going to turn it on, and that's going to enforce it to all users except myself. And once that's active, you can then fine-tune it, and you can set it so if you want to exclude certain groups, like a certain selected group of admins, target resources, so you can set it to you can select what resources to apply it to. There's a new feature, network, so you can exclude certain trusted networks you have in your corporation, and other settings that you can have a look at and spend more time. And that's it. That is how you enforce MFA for all your users. So next I'm going to show you how we can run a report to see which users aren't enabled for MFA. So back to the InfraSOS Office 365 reporting tool. Under reports, you can have a look at the MFA status for all of your users, and this will give you a breakdown of what MFA status options they have. So here you can see which users aren't registered for MFA. Do they have strong authentication methods? What authentication methods are they using? So this user is set to true, so they've got it set up, and they're using the mobile phone authentication method. And what's the default method? So this is a good way to get an overview of everyone, and you can also check your admins. So admins without MFA enabled will give you a list of all of your Azure admins that don't have MFA enabled. So this is quite a good one to keep an eye on. Okay, so that's how you can report on admins that don't have MFA enabled. So risk number 4, external sharing is still enabled in some tenants. So what we see is if you're using SharePoint and OneDrive, there's some settings within SharePoint, and if they're enabled, users can share information with external users and unknown domains. Now, I don't need to tell you how dangerous this could be. If you've got sensitive information and you don't want someone external viewing it, this setting allows any user in your tenant their SharePoint and OneDrive to share information. So I'm going to show you where the setting is and how you can check and change it. So for this, we're going to need to log into the SharePoint Admin Center. Once you've logged in, on the left hand side, policies and sharing. And here are the policies for SharePoint and OneDrive. And here I've got it set to least privilege, but you want to check. By default, it allows users can share files and folders using links that don't require a sign-on. So you need to check how you want to set this up. So do you want to set it so only users in your organization can share? Or perhaps you could set it so anyone, there should be an option here to set it so anyone in a security group. So you could set it so only users in a specific security group in your organization can share. Or you can limit it to only external domains. Perhaps you want to work with a third-party organization, you can approve their domains. And then you can set the permission. So what's the default sharing? Edit or view. Perhaps set it to view. So I would say just come in here, have a look at what you've got currently and set the correct permissions for your organization. You can also set it on individual sites. So if you click on sites, active sites, select a site and then click on sharing, and you can set it on the site level like that. So yeah, have a look and see what's right for your sharing policy. So that's it for SharePoint sharing externally. So number 5 is mail forwarding to external accounts. So within Exchange Online, users can set auto forwarding to personal accounts like Gmail and Yahoo. And oftentimes this can bypass DLP, compliance and audit controls, and it's a common insider threat that can lead to accidental leaks. So the way that you can check this first, if anyone has set it up, is, let's just change the screen. Within InfraSOS, we have a mailbox usage reports, and under here you can configure the columns, and here you can see one account, support at InfraSOS, is currently forwarding all emails to a personal Gmail account. So that is one way to track if users are forwarding any emails externally. And to disable this setting, if you go to Microsoft Defender, scroll down to email and collaboration, policy and rules, threat protection, anti-spam policies, and if you have a look at anti-spam outbound default, you can edit the protection rules, and here it's currently set to automatic. So if you want to disable this, we can just do off. Forwarding is disabled, and then you've got some other options. Send a copy of the suspicious outbound email to perhaps internal IT teams, and click save. And now users internally can't forward mails externally. Okay, and that's it. So if I've missed, or if you know of any other risks that I should cover in future videos, just drop a comment in the video and I'll happily do another video. Thanks very much.